and I are back with Dina Copeland, who's a team leader for the Whittingham Cancer Center walk.
Yeah,
Welcome.
So team leader,
Yeah.
welcome Dina. Dina, tell us first what a team leader is. Sounds very important.
I organize a team. I have my own team of friends and family, and I just go on to the website, I start the team, and then everyone else joins.
How large can these teams be?
As large as many people as you can get.
And just to be clear, if someone doesn't have a team but just wants to show up, can they show up?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I've done that. I've not had a team and I just shown up.
Mm-hmm.
You can register right there, you can get a t-shirt right there.
You could do it all right there, or you could do it ahead of time online if you go to the website.
And chances are you'll end up running into at least 15 people that you know anyway once you get there.
If you're from Norwalk, you're gonna run into somebody you know.
Right, so you'll find a team anyway.
Exactly.
So Dina, you're a young, attractive woman, but you have really sort of, I don't want to say tragic story, but a terrible story to tell, how you got involved and interested in this.
Yeah, so in August of 2011, I was having pain in my leg, and I went to Dr. Polifrani, who is a local orthopedic doctor. He did an x-ray, he did an MRI, found a mass in my right tibia, just below my knee, and sent me to a specialist at Yale. And turned out I have a rare type of sarcoma bone cancer.
So this isn't something you could feel, but you were just having pain.
I was having pain and a little swelling, and it wasn't going away. The pain had started in the beginning of that summer, and just progressively got worse.
Yeah.
So then I finally went to Dr. Polifrani. And then so I was diagnosed in August, and in September I had a limb recovery surgery. Where they removed the tumor, but they also did a knee replacement and bone graft.
The old treatment for that used to be to amputate the limb, and I know that some of the newer approaches, but we were talking before the show, this is more typically a disease we see in adolescent men and women. When the Kennedy children had it. Lost a leg from that.
Yeah.
But so you had the conservative approach. Did they think you were cured after that? I know you had some chemo and probably some radiation.
Yep, I had chemo at Whittingham. I started the chemo that October, and I had 12 rounds within 6 months. And they felt that I had a good chance of going into remission, and I did. I went into remission for 2 years, but then in October of 2013, we found metastasis in my lungs.
Was this you were having symptoms, or this was just part of routine?
It was. I went in for my regular checkups. Yeah. For the first 5 years, I was told I had to get scanned every 3 months, and I was just getting to the point where they were going to extend me out to every 6 months. Yeah. And then we found the tumor in my lung.
That must have been devastating for you.
It was upsetting, but they were able to do a surgery to remove it, and I just thought, okay, we're good, keep on moving. And then the following year, I got another metastases, and it's just been constant ever since.
So you're dealing with metastases at this point. I know you told us before the show you have going in for some of this new immune therapy that has shown so much promise.
Yep, actually, in a couple of days, I'm going to be starting a clinical trial at Sloan Kettering for immunotherapy drug that will hopefully teach my immune system to recognize the cancer cells, and will hopefully let my body fight it off instead of having to get more chemo.
And this is the real excitement now in cancer therapy, using one's own immune system, which is something we've been talking about,
Talking about it as long as we understood there was an immune system.
Right.
But we were really
but
never
we couldn't harness it before somehow to be able to do this.
The immune system was always really too weak to deal with most cancers, and the scientists in the last 5 years have figured out how to unlock that and really energize the immune system and have a meaningful impact. And we don't even know at this point the breadth of success that these agents will have, so that's why this is a trial.
But that's promising and exciting.
It is promising, and the particular drug that I'm getting has already been used on 4 other cancers, and it's shown success. So they're hoping it'll show
success. Some pretty dramatic.
Yeah, in fact, that has been approved by the FDA for these other cancers. So they're hoping that for sarcoma, it'll show some success too.
Yeah.
And I guess at this time, there are so many of these new novel and molecularly targeted, immune-targeted therapies that are being developed. Hopefully they will go along until we find one that cures you.
Yeah,
And I think that's, gotta be the way you approach it.
well, they did genetic testing on 2 of my tumors, and the way they explained it is that's how they figure out the best type of treatment. So they're really trying to treat on a more molecular level as opposed to just throwing chemo at your entire
Right.
system.
And that's really been the big change, that the shift that we're seeing now in cancer treatment is that it's become tailored. We know so much more about, the immune system and also how cancer works. And so we can tailor it very specifically.
30 years ago, I think Nixon declared a war on cancer, but we didn't really have the science at that point.
Right.
To hope for a cure. I personally believe, first of all, it's going to be several cures. It's
Right.
not going to be one
Right.
cure.
Right.
But seeing what's happening for the first time in my life and my career, there certainly is a reasonable hope. I believe that in 10 years,
Yeah.
we will find solutions to most cancers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even necessarily mean no cure, just if you can just keep them in check.
Yeah, keep them
If
in
they
check
don't
or
grow,
even
you're
make the
fine.
treatment more tolerable.
Right, because conventional chemotherapy, as everybody knows, it
Chemo's
comes
not
with
fun.
it's not fun.
You know?
You say that for a little bit.
Yeah, I know from a personal
But you
experience.
have to keep up your state of mind. You seem great.
Thank you.
And it just seems, you sort of a role model. You're a young woman. You could feel very sorry for yourself. People aren't supposed to get sick when they're young.
I was 32 when I was diagnosed, and it was hard because I had the physical issue too. Like, I had that major leg surgery, and I had to learn how to walk again.
Right.
And the goal actually for me was to be able to walk in the Whittingham Cancer Walk, because I knew it was that April, and my surgery was September when I started physical therapy. I told my physical therapist, I was like, you have to get me to walk.
And we have
In
some
the
pictures actually.
Here's you.
Here we go.
Yep,
This
that's,
started with you getting chemotherapy.
that was me at one of my treatments, yeah.
And you're smiling even there.
And that was actually my last treatment ever. And at the cancer center, when you're done, you ring the bell.
So
So
that's your last treatment ever?
that was my last treatment. Well, yeah, it's an
Of that type.
At that time, yeah. That's my brother and his family. That was our first walk, and you could tell it was a month or two after my last treatment because my hair is looking like a buzz cut. So it was growing back. And that was my first team. So I had a
That's a
good
good size
showing
team.
that year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
yeah.
That was 2012.
It seems that to have people you love are important to get through these kinds of things.
Yes, and this was 2013, like everyone that comes to this walk every year is different. The faces change, but there are people that have been with me since day one during this whole journey, so it's nice to have them with me. This was just this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really inspiring. I mean, I think, the pictures are moving, the story is very inspiring, and it certainly makes me
You're
want to
working full-time
participate. Yeah.
on top of all this.
Yeah, I still work full time. I feel good, so I might as well keep living. I don't want cancer to define my life. It's a part of my life, but it's not who I am.
And I think that's very well said. I think, a lot of folks who are like you, will approach it that way.
Yeah.
And hopefully this message will get out to other folks who are hopefully watching at home who are struggling with a lot of these same issues, and will serve as a motivation, I think, to look at life a little bit differently. I mean, I know it's easy to say, for those of us that aren't dealing with it, but I think it's also very inspiring to hear somebody who's struggling with all this to say, you know what, I'm still going on with my daily life, I'm still keeping a positive attitude, because you certainly look like you are.
And I think, there's every reason to at this point in time. This is just a very dynamic time. Again, I remember, Vicki, you may still remember, AIDS as a disease was, you had it was a death
Yeah, it was
sentence,
fatal.
and now all of a sudden,
People
people don't die of AIDS
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that now with some cancers. People don't hear about this, but chronic myelogenous leukemia that my father-in-law died of. People don't die of that now. We manage it. There have been tremendous strides in melanoma, in some of the lung cancers, in multiple myeloma. And hopefully, as these are leading to changes and advances in things like sarcoma.
Yeah.
And we just have to believe that because it's real.
I think it is. Just knowing the history of my disease and what would have happened to me if I was diagnosed in the 80s or the 90s. I would have lost my leg, and you know, I would have been given more brutal treatments than I was. So I think it's advanced.
Do you do a lot of reading on the subject? What about Google searching and all that stuff that all of us are prone to?
Yes and no. And it's I try not to, because you know, it's easy to type in Google certain things and then you just read all the horror stories, or you see all these horrific pictures and then you think, oh my god, that's gonna be me. And I try not to. I do, in a sense, where I want to educate myself enough so when I go to meet with my doctor, I could ask.
How do you tell apart? We have only 30 seconds, but how do you tell apart the good information from the bad stuff?
The sources.
So you really have, I think that's.
I look at the
you
source.
look at Mayo Clinic, NIH, people like that.
If it's from a clinic or a group, I read it.
If it's somebody who's got a blog on.
I don't read those.
Good, and that's really a good message.
I think that's a great message to give, but I think the best message to give to people is who you are and how you are. You're just really inspirational to anybody who's dealing with this. And I know Vicki and I and all just wish you, luck is not the right word, success in managing this disease and coming back 10 years from now and telling us how great you feel.
I plan to.
I want to thanks so much. When we come back, we'll have today's health questions.
Right now, let's take a look at some of our future events sponsored by Western Connecticut Health Network.